You mentioned the Paris Agreement. Do you believe, sir, that climate change is happening and that human activity has made it worse?
Here's what I believe, and I'm pretty much on the record, but I love getting the opportunity to talk about it again, is the climate is changing. Man is having an impact on it. I've said that time after time. The idea that we can't have an intellectual conversation about just what are the actual impacts. I mean, as late as this last week, an undersecretary for the Obama administration, Steve Coons, he believes that we need to have a sit down and have a conversation, that the data is not, from his perspective, and obviously he was a good enough scientist to be asked by the Obama administration to come in to be an undersecretary at the DOE. He doesn't think that the science is settled. So why not have a conversation about that? I mean, what is the other side? The people who say the science is settled, it's done. If you don't believe that, you're a skeptic, a Luddite. I don't buy that. I don't think there is, I mean, this is America. Have a conversation. Let's come out of the shadows of hiding behind, your political statements, and let's talk about it. What's wrong with that? And I'm full, well, you know, I can be convinced, but why not? Let's talk about it. Yes, sir.
Just hold on, just to finish your thought, though. You said that you do believe that climate change is happening, and you do believe that human activity has contributed to it. So the discussion you're asking for is just what to do about it?
Sure. Is that okay? I mean, don't you think we ought to do that?
It's not up to me to say whether it's okay.
Well, why? I mean, you know, you're an American citizen. You ought to have a...
I just want to follow up on Jeff when he was talking about climate change. Just to be straight, you're saying that...
Really be straight.
As straight as possible. Climate change is a fact, but you want us to have a discussion about exactly what has to be done about the climate change. It's not up for discussion, that part of it.
I have no idea what you just asked.
I asked you to be as straight as possible. Climate change affected by man.
So we'll give you one more time. You get one more chance to ask this question. Okay?
I'm only speaking English. I can try a different one.
I want you to think about how you're putting this out here.
I'm putting it out this way. You are saying that climate change, man has affected climate change, and the discussion is about what we do with it, not whether or not we've affected it. So going forward, that's resolved.
No, what I said was, climate's changing, always has. Man at this particular point in time is having effect on it. How much effect is what's at debate here. And more importantly, what is the United States going to do to affect that? Are we going to sign an agreement with somebody that really doesn't call anybody to making any changes? You look at that agreement and what China and what India are required to do, and they're nothing. How many coal plants? 300 plus coal plants we've built in India. So, I mean, why would we sign on to an agreement that is not holding other people to account and asking us to give $3 billion? I mean, that's the first ante. And the Trump administration said that's nonsense. I agree with them, it's nonsense. Now, can we agree that we ought to have a conversation as a people? Intellectually engaged, not screaming at each other and not saying, you know, standing up in the middle of my speeches and saying you're a climate denier, when the fact is, I just want to have a conversation about this.
Isn't that what the scientists have done?
No, they haven't, because when you have a scientist like Steve Coons that stands up and said the science isn't settled yet, I tend to say, okay, well, let's have a conversation and get these guys together. In my Senate committee, I said, let's have a conversation about blue team, red team, get together and talk this over. Okay, you're up.